Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 203. I am Brendan. Oh, man, UFC Fight Night. Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. We are going to cover the main card here. It just went down, so I'm a little bit groggy slash super sleepy. I'm going to try and cover as much as the main card, hopefully the whole main card. We'll see how this goes and how long this video gets. If not, I'll cover everything else in the next video, including the prelims. Real quick before we get started, if you like MMA, you like podcasts about MMA, you like breakdowns, all that stuff, I do that all here. 2 or 3 videos every single week, breaking down fights, UFC, PFL, Bellator, all that stuff. And subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Let's get started. Also, if you're looking for a breakdown of a specific fight, the timestamps are down below. Okay, let's talk about the main event here. I'm hoping I can get my energy up because this thing was a fucking banger. God, this fight was so good, man. This fight was so good. Like this fight was great. You got Stephen Thompson, who's 1,000 years old. I mean, he's 39. And I mean, if you don't love Stephen Thompson, I don't know. Maybe if you're really anti-religion, I understand why you wouldn't like him. Maybe you don't like people who want to strike. I don't know. I think the religion thing is pretty much the only reason why people don't like him. Maybe you don't like nice people. Maybe that rubs you the wrong way. If that's the case, then you don't like him. Other than that, I don't see how you don't like him. Kevin Holland, I understand if you don't like him. I love him. I have loved him since, oh man, I think he came from the Dana White Contender Series, didn't he? Yeah, he sure did. 2018. He's only been fighting since 2018 in the UFC. And look how many fights he has. Holy shit. He fought the who's who up at 185. Fought the who's who at 170 here. Dude, he's good too. Like Kevin Holland's amazing. He's a great fighter. Okay. Let's get into what happened here. Oh, I forgot to pull up my notes. Sure enough. I knew something was gonna go wrong. That's what happens when you do this at 1 in the morning. Anyway, in this first round, Stephen Thompson, he was doing a good job. He was keeping the range. He was avoiding most of the big punches. Holland was being super aggressive with the pressure, using low kicks, doing good. I felt like if he stuck more to the low kicks and hid them behind the jab a little bit, I think he could have not outpointed Thompson because that's a tall task for anybody. But he could have stayed more competitive in the striking, especially in the openness. Sorry, in the open areas of the cage, right? Not against the fence. Thompson landed his beautiful straight left hand multiple times in this first round. Both these guys were swinging. They were, Holland was like hooking quite a bit. He was doing this thing where when Wonder Boy would engage, Holland would swing, and normally Wonder Boy's able to evade and then disengage. But because Holland is so long, because his reach is so long, he was able to just take one step and almost hit him a bunch of times. He did miss most of the time. You look at the striking numbers as far as his percentage goes. Okay, it's okay. It says that he hit 70% of the time, so it means he didn't miss most of the time. But a lot of those are the leg kicks, right? 16 of 18. But when it came to the head strikes, look, he missed 17 of them, right? You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he hit him more than I thought. I thought, like I said, I thought Thompson was doing a decent job evading most of the big shots. Let's put it that way. But the at one point in this first round, there's a right hand from Holland that rocked Steven. It was, a couple more shots. If he landed them in the right spot, he could have had Thompson out of there in the first round. And honestly, at this moment, I was kind of thinking like, this might be the end of it. He's had a good run. He's had his moments. He's had a little bit of not a resurgence, but how do I put this? He's looked great on the feet against these guys who just want to wrestle fuck him to the ground. Um, but it's just one of those things where he had his moments against Tyron Woodley. He had a shot against Tyron Woodley twice, and he just came up just short. Barely, I might add, but just short. One punch short. This first round, it's hard for me to rule against Wonder Boy. By the way, I love watching these two fight. I hated that one of them had to lose. It's hard for me to rule against Wonder Boy in any round. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of him, especially when he landed so many big shots of his own. That left hand landed so many times, but that biggest shot did come from Holland in this first round, and he followed up with some shots of his own, and he outlanded him. I thought Thompson might have outlanded him, but I guess Holland in those flurries of, especially after he had him rocked, he was able to outland him in this first round, easy 10-9. And then here in the second round, it was a little bit closer, but Thompson was able to avoid some of the big damage coming from Holland. Thompson partially landed a huge left kick to the head. It slapped hard. I think it might have broken Holland's right hand, and you kind of saw that coming a little bit later. He stopped throwing the right hand. Wonder Boy hurt him with the left kick and then followed it up with just a ton of shots. Holland kind of fell on him. Like they got intertwined and he fell on him. And instead of staying on the ground and riding it out in a position that he might have been able to hold, he let the guy up. He let him up and said, "Let's go." How can you not fucking love this guy? I mean, really. I just want to say this before I continue, because obviously Holland ends up getting stopped. Like the corner throws in the towel, and I'll talk about that in a second here, because I do think it was the right call, and I think it was one of the few times we can congratulate a corner for making the right call without disavowing like a referee or anything like that for letting the fight go on. Anyway, it was just overall, it was good to see. But before I get to all that stuff, and I still want to break down the rest of these rounds here, at least the more competitive ones, being 2 and 3. Well, more competitive, not competitive. For those of you guys out there who complain about boring fights, boring fighters, fighters who refuse to engage, maybe run backwards around a cage and refuse to throw punches, or people who wrestle fuck their way to victory, or so those are egregious in my opinion, because you're playing the game, and you can't be mad at a person for. Well, here's the thing: running around the cage backwards and sitting on top of a guy are the same to me as grabbing the fence, because that's also a nice theme we had for the night. So you might hear me mention that about 10 times, because that's what happened. People were grabbing the fence. That's what I'm saying. So it is tantamount to grabbing the fence, poking in the eye. You're breaking the rules, because if you're not engaging, you are stalling. Therefore, you're breaking the rules. It's a rule violation. It's the same thing. So, do they allow people to grab the fence once or twice or 3 times or maybe 4 times before they take a point? Absolutely. Do they allow them to poke someone in the eye or kick them in the nuts a couple times? Absolutely. So letting them back up and not engage for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, do they let them do that? Absolutely. So before we get into, they let them stay on top without doing anything, without separating them? Absolutely. So, with all that being said, let's one more thing. You might also not like people who grapple too much. You know, they say they take the easiest path to victory all the time. Maybe it's not the most exciting. A Colby Covington style fight, right? Against a lot of his opponents. Maybe not the Kamaru Usman fights, but the Jorge Masvidal fight or stuff like that, where he's just a dominant wrestler, just grinds these people out. The Rafael dos Anjos win, that kind of stuff. If you don't like that stuff and you complain about it, what you need to do right now is go buy all of Kevin Holland's merchandise. because this dude just let Stephen Thompson, one of the best strikers that's ever been in the UFC, one of the most skilled and elusive strikers, one of the most creative, as far as traditional martial arts go, strikers in the UFC ever. He let him up, not just once. He did it later too, when he was on top of him. He just let him up so he can keep fighting him on the feet. And yeah, that might have been part of his strategy. He wanted to strike with him. Maybe he just wanted to beat him at his own game. But Kevin Holland doesn't have boring fights, man. He doesn't have boring fights. And part of that's to the detriment of his career. Because I believe he could have won this fight had he just gotten Thompson down to the ground and stayed on top of him. And a win means more money in the long run than being an exciting fighter. Because that gets you closer to the title, pay-per-view points, all that stuff. Being an exciting fighter might keep you on the UFC roster longer, and it can lead to bigger paydays. And he has had a ton of fights, and being a company man does have its benefits. But I'm going to go look and see if I can buy some merchandise from him, because a guy who's willing to do that, who knows that a part of the game is being entertaining, who talks to other people, who's respectful when he needs to, when he matches other people's energy in a proper way. He doesn't do this false bravado bullshit that Kamaru Usman does. Like, oh man, bring that same energy. This fake swagger bullshit. He's fun. He's kind of a clown. He talks a lot of crap, but he has fun with it. He's a genuine guy. Kevin Holland is genuine. If he's just acting, he's a really good actor. But my guess he's genuine. Genuine? You don't know genuine? So if you guys are the same people who don't like those things, and you really like what Kevin Holland was doing here, you got to support him. You got to support him. And that doesn't just mean going on Twitter and saying congratulations. It means, buying his gear, supporting him financially. I'm not saying donate money to the guy, but if he's got some gear, buy some stuff from him. Right? If anytime you see him on a podcast or whatever, or anytime you see that kind of stuff, you just give it more attention, more shares, more likes, all that stuff. All right, let's keep going. I know that was a side note. I was thinking about that as I was watching the fight, especially in the last couple of rounds here. It was hard to not appreciate what he was doing, because I feel like he didn't have to do that. I had the same thought when Aljamain Sterling didn't cause. I also said this, in his last fight against TJ Dillashaw. I felt like he could have really ruined his life, or at least done a lot more damage to his brain than he did, and he chose not to. Like, there's a couple moments during fights where I have not an out of body experience, but where I have like an introspective kind of thought process going on while I'm watching the fight and taking notes. And that's what I was thinking during this in the third and the fourth round, because honestly, he was getting his ass kicked. Thompson in the second round, Thompson stayed on the outside of the range of Holland's big punches for most of it. Steven hurt him again with the right hand near the end of the round. I had the second round for Thompson. I know Holland did land a couple good shots in there, and the striking numbers were close, 38-33 in favor of Thompson. I lean toward Thompson. If you gave that second round to Holland, you could make that argument to me. I disagree, but again, I just watched it, so we can go back and argue about it. But I would say that Thompson won that one. And then from here on out, it was a one-way show. So Holland says to us, in between the corners, or in between the rounds, sorry. Holland is talking to his corner, and he goes, "Damn, that old-ass motherfucker is fast." His exact words were, "Damn, that old motherfucker is fast." God, I love this guy. I love him, man. He's just so much fun. Uh, a jumping switch kick from Thompson landed. He landed a low kick that made Holland take pause for a moment. I reversed the order of those two. The low kick landed first. Holland was actually landing low kicks pretty well here in the third round, for the most part. He landed them, while he had offense. So in the first three rounds, 16, 13, and 12 respectively, round 1, 2, 3, as far as the low kicks go. And he was doing damage to the legs. He really was. And I felt, like I said at the top of this, I felt like if he stuck to that and, threw that jab out there, even though his right hand was hurting him, I feel like he could have jabbed a little bit with that left hand, maybe thrown some straight rights, if nothing else, just to give the illusion that right hand's coming to hide the low kick coming afterwards. Sidekick from Stephen Thompson knocked Holland down, and of course Thompson just let him get back up. Something that was interesting that was happening was these guys were standing in range, right? They were standing in boxing range with each other, and both of them had this matrix style movement. And I know it wasn't like full backwards, and it wasn't as crazy as some of the stuff that Adesanya does, but both of these guys were leaning back and moving just out of range of the other guy, and then throwing counters. It was, dude, if you did not watch this fight yet and you're waiting to see, like, go back and watch it. It really is worth a watch. I promise you. If nothing else, watch the main event. It is worth the watch. All right, I promise you. There's a couple fights on the main card that I definitely would watch, although I would say that the main card was way too long. Holland was looking really tired at the midway and towards the end of this third round. Thompson landed a spinning heel kick while in hugging range, which was crazy. So Thompson had him backed up against the fence, and he was throwing a combo, going upstairs, and then, well, no joke, they were this far away from each other, right? Hugging range. Like if you were going to hug somebody that far away, and Thompson landed a spinning heel kick in that range. It's fucking crazy. So freaking cool. And dude, Holland's tough as shit because all these things started landing. It was amazing. This round was so much fun. The last two, the second and third round were a blast to watch. 29-28 in favor of Thompson so far. And like I said, Holland's right hand probably was busted. He was holding it weird going back to his corner in between rounds. A front hook kick landed to the face of Holland right away. There was a headbutt that caused a huge cut on Thompson's forehead, like right here around the brow. It sucked. A huge liver kick that really fucking hurt Holland bad. A left kick from Thompson right to the liver. It crumpled him, but he didn't go down, and he took another one to that spot, and he just brought the guard down to kind of block another kick from coming, and he still stayed in there, and he took a spinning heel kick to the head because he was guarding the body. He was just standing there taking damage. Holland is so fucking tough. And a left hand from Thompson dropped him at one point, and in my opinion, that was a 10-8 round. This round 3, 43-25. Wait. Yes? No, my bad. 48-12. Round 4. 48-12. I had it 10-8, but then the corner calls it. Holland's corner made the right decision here because his right hand was broken badly. His body was broken. He was just being too tough for his own good, and he was going to just take more brain damage. Now, real quick, we should just touch on what the corner did here. I feel like they made a good decision. I feel like stopping this fight the way they did wasn't the worst thing in the world. I don't think it hurts Kevin Holland's stock at all. I think it saves him some extra damage. Who knows how much damage? Maybe none. Maybe he could have gone out there and knocked out Thompson. You never know. But judging by the trajectory of that fight, based off the last couple rounds, really, he was just going to go in there. He's broken. He's compromised. It's not a good idea. So, with all that being said, thank you. Thank you for stopping the fight. I appreciate it. Like, I like watching that. I like knowing that a corner has their fighter's best interests in mind. They're not just thinking about themselves. They're not just thinking about winning. They're thinking about the future of the fighter, their personal future, their family's future, and, also their financial future, which does affect yours. So it's a little selfish in a good way, right? Looking out for yourself, keeping the guy who helps make you money or makes money for you, help keeping him in good health. It benefits both of you. So, what a fucking fight. What else is there to say? What's next? What's next for Stephen Thompson? Well, I'll tell you, it's rough. There's only one fight I want to see there. It's Colby Covington. I have a feeling I know how it's going to go, but having the nicest guy fight an asshole or a guy pretending to be an asshole, I think that would be fun. I think the build-up would be fun. I think the fight has the possibility to be fun. He's already lost to Burns. He's lost to Muhammad. I don't want to see him fight Chimaev. That does nothing for me. Unless it's for a title. That means nothing to me. Plus, Chimaev still has to prove that he can make 170. I don't really want to see him fight Kamaru Usman again unless it's for a title. And same with Leon Edwards. Although Leon Edwards would probably be a better fight. So, yeah. Congratulations, Stephen Thompson. Still getting it done, man. This far in your career. Talking about guys still getting it done. Holy crap. Rafael dos Anjos keeping it together. Yo, he keeping it tight, man. Rafael dos Anjos, it just work. Just work. That's what this was. Just work. Really early on, all the weird movements from Bryan on the feet were giving Dos Anjos a little bit of pause because it's really weird. But then RDA got the takedown against the fence, went for an arm triangle, but the fence was in the way. RDA, midway through this first round, got the record for most time in the octagon. Dude has been fighting forever since 2008. Lots of time in here, lots of 5-rounders, lots of decisions in here, lots of finishes as well. So it's not like he just has it. It's just he's had a lot of 5-rounders. So he passed Frankie Edgar for most time in the octagon. He was just relentless with the pressure, taking him down over and over. In the second round, RDA got the rear naked choke. This dude just keeps getting it done. I know Bryan isn't the best, the best opponent, the highest caliber opponent, but he was on a 3-fight win streak of his own against, varying levels of competition. And, it's just he's a decent fighter in this division, and Rafael dos Anjos was able to beat him. He stepped up on short. I think he stepped up on short notice to fight Fiziev. And then Moicano stepped on short notice to fight him. This is he's a former lightweight champion. He's the dude. He's just been around for so long. He's been around for so long. Fought everybody. Fought the who's who. He was the gatekeeper at 170 at one point, which is weird because that's not where he was the champion. And he's just really good. Also, side note here, he called out Conor McGregor, said, hey, I've been in the octagon for this long. I have all these things. I was a champion 7 years ago in 2015. This is where I defended the title against Donald Cerrone. He's like, I think I earned the right to call someone out. And he called out Conor McGregor. He said, we should have fought 7 years ago. Let's make it happen. Good call out. Don't think it's happening, but good call out. All right. Matheus Nicolau versus Matt Schnell. Schnell cut his hair to make the weight. Nicolau was backing up and circling. You want to look at the striking numbers here. Not a whole lot, but he was very Nicolau made him count. He hits very hard. He was backing up and circling the entire fight. Michael Bisping made comments about it, saying, "Hey, this is what he does. He frustrates his opponent. He makes them lose their patience." The crowd was booing because he doesn't engage, and yeah, they got excited when he knocks him down. This guy is not fun to watch, to be honest with you. It's not fun. Um, it's he's not as bad about it as the dude from the PFL. I forget the guy's name. Sadabu C. He's not as bad as that, and he's got some good wins. Like obviously, I think he's he's only got one loss in the UFC back in 2018. Manel Cap, Tim Elliott, that's a decent one. David Dvorak, that's okay. Matt Schnell's a good win. Interesting. Where? Yeah, at flyweight, I mean, he really hasn't had to. I mean, he fought David Dvorak, but ah, all right, I guess. I mean, I don't know. This division's in a little bit of it's a weird spot because Pantoja, Kai Kara France, Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo. Brandon Moreno, obviously, who I still think is the champion. I think he beat him the last time anyway. They need to have the fourth fight. I think it's crazy that they've done this 4 times now, but they have fun fights. I don't know. It is what it is. Matheus Nicolau ain't getting the title shot for a while. There's a whole bunch of people waiting in line. So have fun waiting, and you're not going to win fans. You're not going to win a lot of people over with that fight style either. All right. Tai Tuivasa versus Sergei Pavlovich. Oh, dude. Pavlovich hits hard. Tai Tuivasa only landed 2 strikes. I thought it was more. And ended fast. Sergei landed really early. He took 1 shot from Tuivasa, which was hard, and he took a back step, but he really didn't do anything else, and they just moved right back in. Sergei ended up dropping Tai twice, and then a third time, and then the ref stepped in there. It was Dan Miragliotta. So, holy crap! And his strikes, especially at heavyweight, his striking is so tight. It's not the same as a lot of these other guys at heavyweight. These big winging punches when he's throwing them in there. Yes, he can wing them as good as anybody. I mean, everybody can do it if they want to. I'm just saying, he's got more tight, traditional style boxing than you see most guys have at heavyweight. And he just beat number 4. I mean, Derek Lewis had a tummy ache basically last week or a couple weeks ago and couldn't fight. I don't fucking know. Doctor said he was fine, so maybe he ate wings again. Anyway, so Sergey got to step up in a competition at number 4, and he should be able to step past him, which puts him right in line to fight Curtis Blades, Miocic, Gan, and Ngannou. So Ngannou is probably not going to be fighting because of the surgeries. You got John Jones talking about coming back and all that crap. I don't know. What are you supposed to do now with the heavyweight division when your champion isn't fighting and the guy he honestly didn't. Your big best heavyweight, the guy who's knocking everybody out, decided like, oh shit, I can't strike with this guy, so he decided to wrestle for the first time against Gan. That was interesting. I think Pavlovich versus Gan's fun.
I think Pavlovich versus Blades is fun, but I want to see Miocic versus Blades for the love of all that is holy. He just beat Tom Aspinall. I know it was a bad, I know he got injured, but it is what it is. 3 more, huh? All right, let's blast through these. Let's try. 3 more fights. Okay. Roman Dolidze versus Jack Hermansson. Roman Dolidze gets the win here. He called out Khamzat Chimaev. Okay. Weird. I mean, pretty sure they're fighting at 185. Everybody just calling him out now. I know he said he wants to fight at 185 and then go down to 170. I don't fucking know. Anyway, so Jack was staying on the outside, landing low kicks, bouncing in and out. Roman was really stationary, waiting to counter. He didn't really land anything, to be honest with you. Jack got a takedown. Not a lot happened. In fact, he got reversed and had to stand back up. The lead leg of Roman really was starting to give him issues. Most of the damage in that round was from Jack Hermansson, and it was mostly to the legs. So 13 of his strikes, 25-4 in favor of Hermansson. The second round here was really more of the same. Dolidze wasn't really able to do anything on the feet. He was getting his feet eaten up. And then Hermansson shoots in for a takedown. And then this weird sequence of events happens where he gets stuck in a calf slicer and then Dolidze ends up on his back. So Hermansson can't get out of the position. And then he's tired and he's not even able to land anything on Hermansson. Really nothing significant, but Hermansson can't defend himself and he can't move, so it's almost like a crucifix position, so he gets it. I think Hermansson could have kicked him in the legs for another 10 minutes and easily won this fight. I think it was just a huge mistake from Hermansson. I think he lost this fight. Roman Dolidze did not win it. And as far as taking on Khamzat, good luck, man. I mean, if you had problems with Hermansson, you want to go toe to toe with the frickin' Typhoon. You're more than welcome. Maybe he thinks because he's bigger. Eryk Anders versus Kyle Daukaus. Oh boy, poor Kyle, just taking all that damage. Oh man, he might get cut from the UFC. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eesh. He's 3-4-1 in the UFC. He has moments where he looks really good, but he's hittable. He's hittable, man. And Eryk caught him good. This first round, Kyle was landing huge leg kicks early. Eryk was trying to just push his way in and push through the longer striking of Daukaus. Daukaus was cleaner. He was landing more. Anders was not finding the chin, and Kyle was moving really well. And then Eryk lands a right hand and put Kyle down near the end of the round. A clash of heads actually caused an immediate cut on Kyle. He went to his knees. It's pretty bad. Anders landed some really big shots at the end of the round, dropping him one more time with a left hand. And you got to wonder how much of that was from getting hit in the head and him being compromised. And obviously, Anders hits really fucking hard. So, that's not going to help you recover any faster. He ends up landing a big shot at the in the second round, puts him down multiple times, and then gets a TKO finish. Daukaus just took way too much damage. And like I said, you got to wonder how much of that was from the headbutt. He hit him beforehand, so it's not like he didn't do damage leading up to that. It's just that how much more was he able to do because of a foul or unintentional foul. Niko Price versus Phil Rowe. This is weird. Let's let you know now. So anyway, Phil Rowe gets a TKO in the third round. Good win for him. Really dug down deep, but the commentary was a little bit suspect, to be honest with you, based off what I was hearing. They were really talking about how good Rowe was doing and all this other stuff. The rounds were closer than you think. Niko also didn't look right. He wasn't moving right. Something was wrong. Something's up, and I know he just had double knee surgery, so maybe he's just not confident in his movements, or he hasn't been able to train the way he wants to. But Niko was pressing forward, trying to work his way in past the range because Rowe is crazy rangy, also way bigger. It's not even close. The guy must have outweighed him by like 30 pounds. It's fucking horrible. The fact that that shit can happen at welterweight. Oh wait, did Niko Price miss weight for this one? No, I don't know. It just how the fuck Rowe makes weight at 170 is ridiculous. Rowe was landing really well at distance, and Price was he was doing damage with low kicks. So if you look at the low kicks, 17 of 17 he landed. He landed a lot of them, and they were hard. Look at shots to the head, 12 to 12, and Price landed five body shots. Rowe staggered Price with a right hand at one point in this first round. Price had moments. I thought that Rowe landed the bigger shots and did more damage in this first round, but it was close. And you want to talk about, the commentary was like, oh, yeah, clearly Rowe won this one. I don't know about that, guys. Price outstruck him by 14 strikes and landed some really good shots of his own. Now, I had it for Rowe. I had it 10-9 to Rowe, but it was not a blowout. Second round, Niko wasn't moving right. I think his double knee surgery, he hadn't recovered yet, like I said earlier. Niko was finding the body now. He was getting dirtier more in this round. Rowe got the takedown, but then Rowe ended up letting him back up because he didn't want to play around on the ground. Rowe locked up the neck and Niko rolled under. Rowe took the back. The guys were both really tired, and I was like, the striking was close in this round. It wasn't. I guess I was wrong. I thought the striking was close, but it was way in the favor of Price. 34 to 17 wasn't even close. The damage must have went to Price in here. I thought because of the back and then the sub attempt from Rowe, maybe gave him that round. But looking at the damage now, if I could go back and change my card, I would. I would have it 19 to 19. And in this third round, Price was doing a good job, man. He was outstriking him, outlanding him. He was getting dirty. Turned into a real slobber knocker. Price was landing hard. He was getting aggressive, landing a huge right hand that stunned him. He got on top and he was unloading, but he just unloaded the gas tank too much and didn't have enough to finish. Rowe gets up and got the TKO finish with the right hand, or following up after a right hand. Gritty performance by Rowe. Both these guys were tired, and Price is never going to quit on himself. He didn't. The referee had to step in and stop the fight. So overall, this main card was fun to watch. I think the main event, you put that on any card and it's going to save the card. So regardless of what you thought of the other things, I didn't hate some of the other fights. Oh, man. Oh, sorry. Okay. That is it, though. I mean, if you didn't watch this, I do recommend going and watching the main event for sure. Check out the if you're looking for a future prospect, the Roman Dolidze versus Jack Hermansson. You can kind of see his weaknesses and the holes in his game. There are many. Fun fight, Eryk Anders versus Kyle Daukaus, who want a guy get beat up. Niko Price, Phil Rowe, fun fight to watch, especially second and third round when they just get down and dirty. And then you just want to see Matheus Nicolau, Matt Schnell. You can skip that one. Bryan Barberena, Rafael dos Anjos. I'd watch that one just to see just how good Rafael dos Anjos is at 39 years old. And Tuivasa, Sergei Pavlovich is a good one. So yeah, good night of fights, good main card. I recommend going to watch it. Watching it pretty much all the way through. So that is it for the main card. If you're looking for the prelims, that'll be on the next video. If you're looking for, I also posted the ONE FC event that happened on Friday. So I posted that one up as well. Subscribe to the channel if you like the stuff so you know when the next videos are coming out. Like I said, I do 2 or 3 videos every single week breaking down fights, doing what we did here. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you guys thought about the fights. Let me know what you guys thought about the breakdowns. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you have fun? Do you think Kevin Holland's an idiot for not staying on top? You let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate y'all. I need to go to sleep. Thank you so much for spending your time here. If this is the only video you watch this week, it means a lot to me. Thank you. And I hope you have an amazing week. I love y'all.